Alrighty, looks like we're live. What's up, everybody? My name is Gabriel Quinn. I'm a concept artist, illustrator, all that fun stuff. Do a bunch of design work, and today we're keeping it chill. We're doing some NPC designs for a personal IP I've been working on for a few years now. It's called Fish World. For returning viewers, it's definitely a favorite. And on the last stream, I had a bunch of fun designing these guys, so I figured I'd just kind of continue and keep on working on some Fish World NPCs. So, what does a Fish World NPC look like? Well, just to kind of get cracking and get started to tell you a little bit about the world, obviously it's heavily revolving around fish, where um, the entire population of this world is on a small island, and there's very much like a micro society economy, all of that stuff. And there are people in all stratospheres of the social hierarchy, I suppose. And these guys would fall somewhere in the middle, where they're not too fancy, but they're not too regular, I suppose. And the fun design space of this project is that I kind of decided that the only materials that these people would be allowed to use is materials from the ocean. So for leather, I'm thinking about eel skin leather. That's why it's all in these thin strips, because eel skin leather, you refine it in these thin strips. So that's a fun restriction for design. So that's the only kind of leather material, maybe some kind of seal skin or something like that. Eel skin, seal skin, bit of a tongue twister. And then also I'm thinking kind of like a cured algae or like a cured kind of kelp sort of thing. So you can see with this funky guy over here, he's wearing his little kelp poncho and all that stuff. So we're going to kind of be working again within these limitations and restrictions, but I kind of just wanted to start off and do some sketching. Yeah, just kind of hanging out. I had a couple hours, so I figured might as well hop on stream and do some character designs. I love character design. It's my favorite thing ever. Hopefully gonna do some more today. Swanton in the chat says hello. Hello, Swanton. Hope you're doing well. Hope life is good. But yeah, I had a couple hours. Might as well hop on and check it out. So since I last streamed a couple days ago, I finished the One Piece live action. I gotta say, it was way better than I thought it was going to be. My goodness, way, 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 way better. It really exceeded my expectations, and I had an absolute blast watching it. I had so much fun watching it. So what I did was I fired up Netflix and I started watching the anime. I started it. So I think I'm on episode like 40 or something, and it's been pretty fun. So everyone who has been trying to get me to watch One Piece, it's happening, man. It's happening. Finally, at long last, finally watching some One Piece. So I'm going to be a little bit aggressive here, and I'm going to do some redesign. So this kind of poncho guy, I wasn't super happy with his gesture or his look. So I decided to kind of come in, be a bit bold, and repaint some of these elements and redraw some of these elements. So there are certain things I like about this design. I like the idea of the hat, and I like the idea of the gesture too. Like, I think the gesture is cool, but most of all, I love this jacket. This jacket is so sweet. So I'm going to make the jacket a little bit bigger. I'm going to raise it up. I'm thinking this character is maybe going to be a little bit taller, and I'm just going to match these assets so they fit well together. Bit of a messy process, but I mean, hey, who really cares, right? Yeah. So that's been fun, just kind of kicking back, when I'm not busy and watching a little bit of a show. Um Sometimes I turn the watch speed to like 1.5 when I know it's kind of like fillery sort of content, which yeah, maybe that'll get me in trouble, but everyone keeps saying the show gets good after like episode 500 or whatever number it is. So I guess I'm okay maybe going a little bit faster towards that goal. So all right, we're back in the world of lines here. So while I'm just working on the sketch, I'm just gonna hold off on working too much in color there and just kind of remove the color so I can think a little bit more in line. So one thing that I was thinking of is that this character would probably be more dynamic if they were facing us and we had a bit more of that, that gesture of the hat here working in. So I want that gesture to come back. I want to be building a little bit more momentum with this design. I still like the kind of sprig sort of look for the hat. I do like the kind of stem being a feature, not a bug. But I'm open to cutting it if it's not gonna fit the vibe super well. It does kind of add an extra element to the flow and the rhythm. But you know, pretty fun, pretty cool. All right, nice. Ooh, Une Tortier hopped in the chat. What's up? How's it going? Doing some more Fish World characters today. Gosh, I love this project so much. Ron Sensei says, how did the workshop go? The workshop, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. The designing for fantasy, super fun. I had a blast doing that one. Talking about genre is always really cool. Yeah, that one was really, it was pretty sick, not gonna lie. But yeah, I'm planning the next one. I'm thinking that the next one's gonna be, let me check. Yeah, so I'm thinking about doing something through the Easter weekend since there's like a lot of time off. People might be able to do it. So I was thinking of doing a 4-day intro to world building workshop. I think it's finally time. I did a world building with costume design, which was an absolute blast. That was super fun. That workshop was super fun. But I think just an intro to world building in general would be pretty cool. Arif Phillipser says, hi, hello, what's going on? These names, guys, they're hard to say, but I'm doing my best. Doing my best. Yeah, we're just sketching today, hanging out. Got a couple hours before sunset, so might as well do some design, work on some characters. You know the drill, my usual. Yeah, these guys are fun. I like this silhouette for this hat guy a lot better than the last one we had. Hand is feeling kind of weird, though. But yeah, the workshop went great. Thanks for asking, man. Yeah, always curious to see what you guys want to be learning and working on and stuff. So yeah, let me know if you guys are ever like, I really want to learn this thing. Just let me know. Tortier says, I'm working on some concept design too. You're helping me concentrate. Hey, that's the goal, man. Likewise, you're helping me concentrate too. Everybody's helping everybody, it would seem. So this is a bit of a bagman character. He's got a lot of bags here. And normally I'm a little bit of a pet peeve guy when it comes to just putting a bunch of bags on a character. But with this guy, he's kind of shifty and shady. I feel like maybe he's some kind of dealer in some kind of trade, you know? He needs his bags. He needs his things with him at all times. Yes. Ooh, Arif says, is there something you really want to teach? Oh my gosh, yeah. I think I would want to teach like creative mindset. That would be like the dream, is like just creative theory, creative mindset, like how to be a creative person, how to live your life coherently as a creative person, and like. But the problem with that is it leans a little bit far into oh, it's Ari Phillips R. Oh, nice. That's cool. Yeah, all right. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, so the problem with going a little too into that world of theory like too much, you know, if I was just like, oh, like how to think creatively, you know, it's so subjective, and it kind of leans a little bit more into the, I guess people call it the woo-woo stuff, or kind of self-help or something like that. It's very easy to be called a hack if you kind of engage in that kind of thing, especially if you're like charging people for that stuff. So like I'm a little bit hesitant to do it. And instead I teach that anyway. And every single workshop I do, it's so theory heavy, and like all of my opinions on how to be a creative person are always going to come through no matter what when I'm teaching. So like I kind of get to teach what I want to teach every time anyway. But, you know, it'd be cool to just have one focused on mindset. That'd be pretty sweet. Maybe one day, who knows? If I become so huge and enormous that anything I say will be legitimate. That happens a lot, man. You know, people just become very, very well known, and then people kind of do the work for them in terms of, you know, legitimizing their ideas or their theories or whatever, you know. So I'll just do that. Why don't I? Ari says, I feel like once you get past fundamentals, that becomes very important fast. It's, I think, the most important thing. I think fundamentals are essential. Like, you can't argue about learning the fundamentals. You can't like reason your way out of it. And a lot of people do. Like, a lot of people try and reason their way out of learning the fundamentals because they're like, oh, you know, anatomy's so hard, perspective's so hard. And then you like can't draw what you want. You're having a hard time drawing stuff that you want to be drawing, and you're like, oh, this is really hard. How do I get better? It's like, dude, come on, man. You know, like you gotta train to be able to do it. It's just a necessary thing, you know. But the creative side and the theory side, people definitely avoid. And it's much easier to avoid because if you train the fundamentals, you just very much see the effect in your work. Your textures look more realistic. Your anatomy is more accurate. Your design, your drawing is you're making less mistakes. But your ideas are weak as heck. Your ideas are weak. The foundation for your ideas are weak, and therefore there's no life in the work. And that is a sneaky one that can really, really get you in trouble. And so I think in all the classes I do, like I focus so much on theory. And it's funny because people afterwards are always like, well, I get a lot of feedback that people are very grateful for that, which is good. So that's good to know that it's like works in a good way. But yeah, I think it's super important. I would honestly think that like the fundamentals are just going to be something you're going to tackle anyway. For me, I was a little bit later on training my fundamentals in like a hardcore way. I was not on the typical schedule of like hard training fundamentals and then switching to more theory-based stuff. I was always very much a theory-focused person who eventually decided I was tired of being held back technically, and I gunned for my fundamentals pretty quick. But then, you know, they slotted into my process so seamlessly. And it's the cool thing where like if you have a great engine for ideas, which is not easy to do, like engines are complicated and they're very hard to maintain, and they're very hard, and it's important to keep them healthy. You know, I think it's a good allegory. An engine is a good allegory. Having a really, really strong engine for ideas is so important. And when you can plug in your fundamentals to that engine, you're cooking, baby. You're cooking. Whenever I work with mentees, I'm always way more excited about taking a mentee with weaker fundamentals and stronger ideas than one with stronger fundamentals and weaker ideas. Because the fundamentals are, you know, you just learn them pretty sequentially. They're pretty okay. Tortilla asks in the chat, dumb question, but at what point would you say a person knows their fundamentals? Well, if you talk to any real professional, they'll tell you that you always come back to it as something that you return to. I think that there are tiers to understanding. Like there are different kind of levels to the understanding. If I were to kind of walk you through some of the levels that I am very well acquainted with, you know, because yes, like I would say I'm pretty skilled at art, but I am by no means close to where I want to be with my skills. Like The pursuit of the skill is like always the center of my life. But I'll talk you through what I'm aware of in my current position or my current experience, right? Because every artist is going to have a different perspective and different experience. But when it comes to like the fundamentals, first of all, it's an abstract concept, the fundamentals. Like this is not it's not like an easily definable thing, and people lump certain things in with fundamentals that I actually don't agree with. Like people put anatomy in with the fundamentals, and I don't think anatomy is one of the fundamentals. I like really disagree about that, but I'll kind of tell you why. So like, so if you, let's say we're talking about art, right? And you want to draw something, some things that you want to keep in mind initially are just not making certain mistakes. Like you just want to, you want your work to not be bad. You're not really worried about it being good. You just want it to not be bad, right? Which means that you're trying to aim for some kind of accuracy. So on the one hand, you have an idea that, okay, well, if you want to draw something figurative, which means it's representational, and you want it to have form, you know, you're thinking about how to create a sense of form in your work. And so you're thinking about how you're gaining control over your lines, and you're adding in different facets, and you're drawing correctly to the point where something has form. And then if you're doing it kind of with more of a light indication where it's like a ball or something like that, and you're working up the lighting of a ball and how to show form that way, that's another thing. But then that's another fundamental, right? Which is light and shadow. So number one is kind of forms. You want your forms to make sense. And the way that really applies for people most often is that it applies like in the face. So you're thinking about, oh, let me zoom in really quick. I realize you guys are watching on a YouTube screen. So, you know, for instance, a face, you know, the nose protrudes out, and there's ways to break that shape down into like a triangle or into a rounded off kind of shape here, or however many shapes you want to do. But there's ways to break down these different shapes and have different facets of, or they call them planes of the face. I mean, facets are kind of the same thing as a plane, right? I think of it a lot like gemstones, like facets of a gemstone. But there are ways to mark out all these different areas and create a sense of form. And you kind of have those cut throughs and wire throughs and all that stuff to show these different areas. So like form is one. You want your objects to have form. But then if you want to draw them in space, you need to learn to draw in perspective, right? So that's another one, perspective. What's interesting is all of these objects I drew are already in perspective. The perspective is just very neutral. So it's already in perspective. Anytime you draw anything with form, it's already in perspective. So done. It's already there. It's already happening. What you want to do is you want to understand perspective so that you have better control over your work and over how you're drawing your forms, right? But everything you're drawing is already in perspective. Even these characters are in perspective. The perspective they're in is that you're super far away and you're zoomed in with a really close lens. And that's why there's no shape distortion, and that's why there's no anything like that. But you're facing them head on. That's the perspective. The horizon's at the bottom. That's where they're standing. And we're able to see things directly head on. Or no, the horizon's more like in the center, actually, sort of. I don't know. But you need to understand perspective to be able to draw characters in space, right? And that's just understanding how objects recede far away and how they come forward. Perspective has more to do with camera lenses than people think, and it's not as complicated as you might think. When I did my character design fundamentals course, we did a whole thing on camera lenses and characters and all that stuff, which is really fun. But those two things, form and perspective, that's pretty much all you need to like draw stuff, right? You're communicating form, you're understanding that an object has mass, and you're able to draw that in space. So what I've just described to you is I've described to you kind of two of some very important fundamentals for just drawing specifically. But that is the first level of understanding. I kind of was mentioning that there's the kind of first level of understanding, which is you know about the fundamentals. So like knowing that they exist. So even knowing what perspective is, even knowing what form is, that's like the first level of the fundamentals. And more often than not, people kind of will run with that as sort of a like, I understand form and I understand perspective because I know that they exist. And in some ways, like, yeah, it's certainly better than nothing, but I think people will stop there and kind of go like, oh yeah, I know the fundamentals. I know about form. I know about perspective. Yeah, for sure. But you don't really know how it works. You don't really know how to plot out something in 3-point perspective that's like receding down and their body's going down, their little feet are down here, and then one arm is going back, but it's like still kind of normal, and one arm is coming out and then up and forward, and the hand is really big, and why is the hand really big? And no one really knows how to draw that intuitively because they don't really understand perspective. They mostly just know it exists in the idea that a cube is in perspective. Like, that's kind of where people leave it a lot of the time, is that, oh well, a cube is in perspective. That's how they practice perspective, which I think is a very, very, it's a great way to get that first level, knowing that it exists, but it's not an effective way to actually train the skill of perspective, in my opinion. So the second level of understanding is being able to apply those fundamentals, being able to actually apply them with confidence, right? You're not doing much guesswork. You're just going like, you're kind of going, well, I understand this form wraps around the back, so I'm going to draw that underneath area here. That object exists, and I have no problem drawing that thing in space, like how this collar wraps around the head in this plane. I have no problem drawing that accurately and understanding how those forms connect. I'm not having a problem with that. That is okay for me. I'm not challenged by it. I'm not stuck on it. I'm good. That is like the second level, where you're actually able to apply it with some kind of confidence and you're not getting stuck, I think. So, I think like application, that makes sense or whatever. We'll just call it application for now. So that is what I would say is necessary if you want to do anything with your work that is like of some kind of impact. Like if you want to be either working in the entertainment industry or doing commercial illustration or something like that, you need to be able to understand and apply the fundamentals that are relevant to your field. Like if you're a children's book illustrator, perspective really doesn't matter that much. You don't have to know perspective to be a children's book illustrator. You can kind of just draw everything flat, very graphic, and it makes sense. But you still need to know form. Form is important. Form is like maybe the most important one out of everything. So you need to understand that at the very least, right? But maybe perspective isn't super, you don't have to be Kim Jong-yi to make a very appealing, wonderful children's book. So the fundamentals aren't just perspective. They're not just form, right? It's also light. Light is hugely important. If you want to be communicating form without lines, you need to be able to understand light and how light works. That is maybe one of the hardest ones, man. It's crazy. It's like, light is like, there's so many layers, and the first layer of like knowing that it exists is like, oh yeah, there's light and shadow. But there's so much depth. Like even just how we did the color for these characters really kind of simply when we were blocking it in, even being able to just kind of say like, okay, well, this is leather. Leather is kind of semi-reflective, and it's going to reflect the cool color of the sky, which means the specular highlights that are pointed up are going to be desaturated because the cool light from the sky is going to desaturate the color of the warm leather. That level of knowledge is like, you got to know that if you're going to be like a production artist. You have to know how that works. How something that how light will lightly penetrate this material because it's, a kelp material. So you're going to see some subsurface scattering happen. But then that little highlight on top, that kind of glinting highlight, is still going to be affected. Even towards the end, we still might come in and add some kind of sheen highlight in the end. Like we might come on top and do some like very light kind of washout sort of lighting on some of these areas just to kind of show that the light is hitting these. We might do that because it's reflective and it's reflecting the color of the sky if it's shiny like that, right? So that kind of knowledge with light is super important, and that is directly related with color, which is super important. So again, knowing that colors exist, a lot of people will take something like color theory and go like, oh yeah, I know that there's a color wheel and I know that there's complementary colors. I'm done. Now I know what color theory is. And it's like, you're not even close to being done. So yeah, I think that the barrier between a lot of intermediates and professional artists is going from the transition of knowing that the fundamentals exist to being able to apply them with in-depth knowledge in a way that's comfortable and that, you know, is actually successful and makes sense. So yeah, I think like when people say, at what point would you say someone knows their fundamentals? I think this kind of level 2 is the goal. Like you want to be able to apply the fundamentals effectively with knowledge and not get stumped by stuff, right? Because if you want to be a professional artist, you're not really allowed to get stumped on things for very long. Like you have to be able to find solutions quickly and work through them because you're on the clock, you're getting paid. You got to be able to figure it out quick. And what it looks like for the third level of understanding, that third level, right? Honestly, I don't 100% know, if I'm being completely honest, because I think that these kind of very deep concepts can apply in ways that I haven't gotten to yet. One thing I'll say is that when it comes to something like when it comes to like mastery or something, right? Like if we're considering gesture to being one of the fundamentals, like the gesture of a character or like the gesture of a movement, I think the level of knowledge at the last or like the highest level is where you're using gesture in a way that goes beyond just being able to do it confidently. You're doing it in a way that is communicating something very specific that you're able to communicate because of your specialist knowledge. And I think that maybe that's, for me, an area where like I've achieved like a level that I'm quite happy with in terms of my own practice. Like, for instance, something like this, where you have this main character here standing in an upright way with the head kind of tilted down. You know, he's a noble person who is of means and is very resolute in his capacity. Whereas, you know, these characters in the back are very hunched over, very meek, very meager. That gesture is very pushed. But if we look at the soldiers over here, we have a similar kind of gesture here. He's got the chest puffed out, the head, you know, straight up, and he's standing slightly relaxed, but, you know, he's a someone of note. Whereas this kind of more common soldier is a bit more relaxed. He's a bit more stretched out, still resolute, but, you know, he's manning his gun. He's got his hand on his hip, not as proper, you know, and that kind of truth of who that character is told through that gesture. And expression is the same thing as gesture and all of that stuff. So I think like the last level of specialist knowledge when it comes to the, oh, you like the soldiers? Yeah, they're cool, right? But yeah, that last level of knowledge when it comes to these fundamentals and getting that high level is things that I can't even explain to you, things that I don't even know yet. Like the way certain artists use light and shadow and color, I'm not on that level, right? For me, I push really hard when it comes to gesture and character, performance, costume design, that kind of thing. I think a lot about. But, you know, there are a lot of things I don't even know, right? I'm still in my 20s, so it's like, you know, all my favorite artists are in their 50s, so it's going to be a long road until I have that level of experience. But I can tell you what I do know, right? And I try to be very honest about what I know and what I don't know. And that's one thing that I couldn't tell you. Like, I'm not a master of light. I'm not a master of color in that way. But yeah, anyway. Let's see. Oh, we got some great questions here. Schwim says, can you walk us through how you think about how you would find shape motif for a fantasy culture that could be used in fashion or other objects? Yeah, I think you just want to find relationships with either an object that exists or a shape that has some kind of implied meaning. You know, for instance, if a shape motif you want to have, like a really easy one is like the sun. So like if a shape motif is something that you're thinking about, like something central, circular, always having things revolving around a circular kind of design radiating out, that kind of relates in many ways. You can stack that in a bunch of ways, kind of going down the outfit as well. It doesn't have to be uniform across the whole thing. But yeah, something like the sun or the moon, you can start finding a lot of circular shapes, a lot of crescent shapes. But if it's kind of like your design is not making direct reference to like an object, you'll find a lot of dwarven designs that people do online kind of follow this pattern of straight lines that break into hard angles that are what's the term? At like a, I don't know, diagonal? Yeah, diagonal. So like a lot of dwarven designs will follow this kind of motif, right? Because it's making reference to the geological structures of stone, it's making reference to the shape of the mountain, it's making reference to all this other stuff, you know, and sometimes they kind of cut off those shapes with more right angles. So that's an example of like some dwarven-esque design, whereas an elven shield might look like something where it's making reference to nature, where a lot of the times you'll see the kind of leaf-shaped shield, oftentimes with some asymmetry. There's a lot of asymmetry in elven design, just because it kind of has that nouveau feel that I think really works with the elves a lot of the time. So you can make a direct reference to an object, or if you don't want to add the spines, just the shape enough is pretty much on the money. Within this, you can do some cool kind of spiraling patterns or something. It's still making reference to the leaf silhouette, but it's kind of unique in its own way. So that's what I would do in terms of creating a shape motif for a culture. I mean, here in this world, like the fish is the shape motif, right? So there you go. But yeah. Noistune says, so creepy. I'm studying perspective for the first time ever, and I joined the live when you're talking about it. Whoa. Oh yeah, dude, get after your perspective. Perspective is so fun. It's so cool. Deniver says, late to the party. Can anyone give me the cliff notes? Oh, someone just asked about how do you tell when someone like knows their fundamentals, and I kind of walked through the idea of that, you know, the first level of fundamentals is knowing that they exist at all, and you want to be grateful for that but not satisfied, and you want to get to the point where you can apply the in-depth knowledge you have of that fundamental without, you know, much trouble. That's the level you want to get to in order to qualify for professional work and all this other stuff. And the third level is like a mastery beyond, where you're really focusing on the things that capture you, and you're trying to communicate things that are very complex with these fundamentals that only you can do because you understand it so deeply. There was just and I don't even know if that's the best way to describe it. That's just the way that I kind of think about it, is like, you know that they exist, or you can use it in your work, or you have attained a level of mastery where, you know, it's beyond simple knowledge or application. Noisen says, these look so good. You can see the time you put into learning anatomy and form. Well, just time, man. So much time. If you guys knew how many drawings I've made in my life, you would not be as impressed, I don't think. Ron Sensei says these designs are so good, I'm crying. Dude. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it. Trotier says, and thank you for the free course. Made me realize that I really need to lock in. I'm on my third year of art school and can't even say I learned about perspective and color theory. It's a lifelong process, right? So again, just really pushing hard, getting those reps in. Another thing is, as you're training these different elements, when you go beyond knowledge and you're seeking application, you're going to be able to start to see everything and everything else. Like when you're doing figure drawing for the first time, you're just trying to transport what you see correctly to the page and have it not be bad. But, you know, by the end of your tenure at figure drawing, you're understanding that, oh, this is in perspective. I understand that perspective. Oh, there are principles of light here and form that I understand clearly. Oh, I understand the anatomy a lot better now. I can achieve this gesture in a more pushed way. I can push the figure. So like, the more you push to understand these different elements of the fundamentals, you'll learn them more effectively. Staying in the realm of like shallow knowledge is the worst thing that you can do. Just dive in, be brave, and explore what you're able to accomplish with these fundamentals. Just get after it and explore. Don't wait. Just push. Noistune says, my teacher straight up told me at my school we won't learn anatomy or color theory. I mean, they're not, a lot of art schools, like they're getting you to do project based stuff. They're getting you to try to complete a project and structure your project in a way that's hireable. Like art schools have very specific deliverables that they're aiming towards, and it's not very connected to the idea of you becoming a master artist, right? They kind of just want to give you all the information that you technically need in order to succeed in the industry, but not give you like or not push you and force you to do the real training that it requires. You can blame a few different sources for that problem appearing in the world, because it's like kind of a new problem. Like, it didn't used to be that way in art school, and it used to be that you would fail out of art school. Like, you would fail. And the reason you would fail is because you're like not that good. That's why you would fail. You would fail because you didn't really train hard, and you didn't show up with your skills in a way that was up to par with what they needed. And you would get kicked out of art school. So failing out of art school used to be possible. But notice, looking around in your art school, that no one has failed out. No one has failed out at all. The only thing that's happened is they've been, I don't know, maybe spoken to. The only way you can fail out is if you literally do nothing, and that's just dropping out. That's what dropping out looks like. It's not that you tried and you failed. But you can fail out of medical school, you can fail out of law school, you can fail out of engineering, and it happens all the time. People fail out of those programs all the time because they can't hack it. They don't work hard enough, and they can't do it. But art school will not give you that option. You are not allowed to fail out. If you failed out, they kind of stop getting paid. And that would suck for them, dude. That would suck for them if they stopped getting paid. So why would they ever fail you? Why would they ever do that? They just wouldn't, and they don't. So, they're not going to push you the way you need to get pushed. So it's kind of on your, and it was kind of always this way. Like, it's your responsibility to make sure that you're working towards your goals, that, and you achieve the level of work that you want to achieve. And that was true even before. So even in the old model of art school where you would fail out, the people who would succeed were the people who worked really, really hard. And even then, even the people who did succeed, it would still maybe not be a guarantee that they would have any kind of success in the wonderful world of opportunity we live in. But yeah, unfortunately, you're not getting that real consequence of failing out. Instead, you're failing out in a way that is not very, like, you're not noticing that you're failing out, but you are. Like, you're failing out because when you leave, you won't have the skills to work professionally because you're not pushing yourself and you're not kind of really going crazy with it, which again is not really your fault because they're not giving you those classes and sitting you down and forcing you to learn this stuff and all that stuff. They're not doing it. So, it's not all on you. But the benefit of art school is that you get a lot of project-based experience, which was the best thing that I got out of my art school experience was project-based experience and life drawing. I went to every life drawing session I could. I even snuck into the life drawing sessions that I wasn't allowed to go into. And that was really important to do. And I would, I would go in cafes and, sketch in perspective and all that stuff like regularly. So I was kind of like very addicted to improving at art at that stage in my life. So like I was very hungry for those kind of opportunities. But yeah, I think that for you, if you're in art school and they've said like, oh, you're not going to be learning anatomy, like that's okay. There's like a million anatomy books and there's a million anatomy resources online, and all you have to do is sit down and do it. But we've reached another problem. This is another problem, which is that unfortunately, your entire brain wiring has been hijacked by social media. So you're cooked. You're actually cooked. Because the second you sit down to learn something, you're going to start getting those pings of like, I need dopamine, and you'll quit before you get ahead, or you won't even start. So you are cooked. Like, you're actually cooked. Like, your brain's fried because you can't sit down and learn something complicated that takes a long time to understand. You just won't do it. And so because you won't do it, you won't improve. And because you won't improve and you won't break the seal on that challenging information, you'll just never improve ever. And I don't want to be fear-mongering or anything, but I've just seen it. I've seen a lot of real-life examples of people go through this and arrive in a place where they just don't have the skills, and they're needing to adapt to the responsibilities of their life. And so then you're going to have less time to practice, and so you're kind of understudied in terms of what you were supposed to learn and supposed to master when you were young, and now you're out in the big wide world, got to get a part-time job, got to make it happen, got to survive, and next thing you know, art's Art's far, far away in the background, which honestly, not the worst thing in the world, man. You know, it can always stay a hobby and be chill and be cool. I say all of this not to discourage you, but to acquaint you with the real reality that you got to push yourself, man. You got to push yourself like crazy. You've got to delete Instagram off your phone. Do it right now. I want you to go on your phone, whatever is sucking your time on your phone, whether it's Instagram or YouTube, delete both off of your phone, specifically your phone. Keep it on your computer. You can post from your computer now on Instagram, so no excuses. Delete Instagram, delete YouTube off your phone, stop going on your phone, sit down and draw. You're going to have a blast. It's going to be so much fun. Sitting down and drawing and learning the complex stuff you've been avoiding, there's nothing better than conquering that fear and just going for it and starting to learn. Because like you become so capable so quickly. And when you really sit down and just do it and you're like, all right, this is going to be hard. You sit down, you're like, oh, it's not that hard. Anatomy is just information, turns out. Oh yeah, that's another thing. When we were talking about the fundamentals and why I think that putting anatomy in with the fundamentals is incorrect, I think it's wrong to do that, is because you are mystifying it in an illogical, pointless way, where you're making it out to be something more complicated and more esoteric than it actually is. Anatomy is just information. The information is that in your head, there is a rigid structure that is a skull that has eye sockets, and it has a nasal cavity for your nose. It has a upper jawbone. It has cheekbones. It has a lower jaw, which is a separate piece, and it's all connected with tendons and muscles. That's just information. You know what else is information? That a tree has a trunk. A tree has a trunk, right? And a tree also has roots that go deep underground to get some delicious, delicious water and minerals from the earth. A tree also has leaves, and those leaves gather light in order to utilize the process of photosynthesis that allows the tree to grow, converting CO2 into oxygen, making use of all of its resources and growing taller. It's a miraculous thing. It's just information. Anatomy is just information. It's not this mystical thing. You know how a tree works. You can draw a tree any way you want. You can draw a million trees any way you want. Learning the skeleton takes about, I don't know, an hour to learn the joint system, if that. And then after that, you're cooking, man. Learning the large muscle groups, not that bad. When you get to all the tiny, tiny, tiny stuff, yeah, it's maybe a lot of memorization, but you don't really need even a lot of that stuff necessarily, you know? You can get by with not that much. God, I'm afraid to look over at the chat. I've been saying some pretty crazy stuff, guys. Also, a grain of salt, right? Take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm just some guy on the internet. I'm just some guy, you know? All right, let's see what you guys say. Let's be brave. Tortilla says, you're right. I think I would have preferred that for them to be more harsher for some reason or for some stuff. Oh, totally. And then Ari says, then it creates a problem with the junior level of the industry. Oh, well, the junior, there are like no junior positions anymore. From what I see 0 positions for junior. It's just they have internships, which is basically the new junior, and they just are hiring mid-level or senior. The junior stuff they're replacing all with AI. All the studios are doing it. Tortilla says, I won't learn if someone doesn't tell me I'm doing the thing wrong. That's very true. They say, exactly. I'm supposed to be able to find a job next year, but I'm at no way a professional level. Well, that's okay, right? Because another thing that the art institution has kind of taught you or said is that, you know, if you go through our 3 or 4 year course, you'll be able to get a job at the end. But if you haven't really been studying art, like really been studying it for many years before, a lot of people choose art school after they find out they like drawing in high school, right? They like drawing in high school and they go, you know what? I'm going to go to art school. I want to get good at art. And like, that's super cool because art is sick and I love art and I love when people are excited to make art. It makes me really happy. But the thing is that like, if you wanted a chance to make real good use of art school, you would have already been taking it seriously at like age 14 or something, right? 14, 15, 16, 17. Those are like 3 years where you're getting a ton of mileage in your sketchbook. You're just practicing a ton. You're discovering. Then you go to art school and you start making a bunch of cool projects, pushing your skills, going a little bit further. And even after that, many of your favorite artists throughout history, they would stay in an atelier, hardcore style art school. They would stay in a hardcore environment for years beyond. They'd stay for like 5-6 years. It wouldn't just be 4, it'd be 5 of like rigorous practice. Then they would make it. You know, a lot of artists don't tell you about the awkward period in between art education and finding the job that can arise if you don't find that like entry level position, which again is starting to disappear. So getting a job straight out of university it's unlikely. And if you are, it's maybe not going to be the glamorous thing you think it's going to be. Yeah, all of that stuff, obviously. But everything changes every year so much. So you really have to take everything I say with a lot of doubt. And if you're watching this in the future, something could have changed. You never know. Things could be different than what I understand. You know, I have a very particular view of a lot of the industry stuff. So like, you know, it's a bit of an ever-changing game, you know? So you can't take everything I say with 100% face value. You got to do your own investigation too. But yeah, Noise Student says, yeah, I expected differently. At the same time, I'm grateful they weren't too pushy, so it didn't throw me off, but they were so laid back, too laid back. Yeah. Also, you got to understand these art teachers at these schools, like you're 1 out of 100 for this year. They've seen what, 7, 8 years of students, just constant turnover. And you can't really expect them to care that deeply, you know, especially because they're so jaded. They're all so jaded. And a lot of them are there because, again, they're not like at their dream studio or doing their dream thing. Like they're there because they're not doing the thing they were going to do or whatever. But a lot of people who are natural, like they love teaching, like it is fantastic. And you know those people from the other people who actually care and are excited about teaching. Those guys rule. And I know you know who I'm talking about. Ari says, which I feel comes back to your initial point when you need to focus on your art and make art that represents what you want to say. It's so true. Ari says, I see people becoming paralyzed by thinking they need to learn more perspective and they don't like it. So they don't make art, which is the opposite of what you need to do. You need to keep making art. Yeah. Imagine if like Steph Curry was like, oh man, these 3-pointers are really hard. I'm just going to avoid them. But I still want to be in the NBA. I still want to be a basketball star. It's like those two things don't even live in the same world. But because, you know, there's such a strong correlation with talent when it comes to visual art specifically, people think they can just talent their way out of it. And you're cooked. You're so cooked if you do that. Okay. They said you will learn in the way and the challenges will come naturally if you just make art the way you want. That's what work forces you to do, to push through the discomfort. Keegan says OG back-to-back streams. Oh yeah, man, we're back to back. I'm just kind of noodling though, and ranting. This is a rant stream. Sometimes, you know, we have a rant stream. We're allowed. We're allowed. Let's get back to our design though. Oh, you said OMG back-to-back streams. I thought you said OG back-to-back streams. Dude, why can't I be the OG? I'm allowed to be the OG. I'm allowed. Man. But yeah, art's cool. Art's super cool and fun. That's also why I started doing workshops and stuff, because I wanted to do workshops on things you're not going to get in art school. And I wanted to do workshops on things that you're not going to get even on YouTube, you know, because it's important. You got to know your theory. You got to understand this stuff. And I wanted to, you know, teach the things that had the highest impact for me in my work. And I wanted to kind of give people access to the information that I wish I had sooner. Which is a really cool thing about the online art space, is there's so many resources now, but you have to be discerning. You know, you got to be discerning about what's going to work for you. Tortilla says, where/how can we attend the workshop? Oh, dude. Well, since you asked, I have not put it out for spots yet. Although I should, because it's a couple of weeks now from Easter weekend, right? I have to push it back a bit. But the way you can is I always put them up on my Gumroad. So if you like follow me on Gumroad, which the link is in the description, where you can find my brush pack and the VODs to the shape design lecture I did last year, I believe it was last year. Yeah, if you follow me on Gumroad, then you'll get the email alerts and all that stuff where you can attend any one of the workshops. Yeah. I try to price them very competitively. My recent model has been charging in between like 50 and $100 depending on how many days I do or how many lectures I do for a weekend long or a long weekend long workshop thing. That's been like my current thing. I used to do much more longer form classes and courses that were many weeks long with like one-on-one time and all that stuff, which I might do again at some point soon. But I've been really enjoying these weekend workshop vibes. I think they've been super fun. So I'm going to keep doing that for a while because I wanted to offer things that have like a lower cost for people where they can still learn some really great information, but it's not such a high upfront cost. You know, we're diversifying. We're trying new things. We're doing it. We're doing it. Yeah, the most practical advice I can give you for anyone watching or listening is just passionately pursue what you're interested in, what you like, with just a ferocity that cannot be matched. Just go for it. Whatever it is, whatever that thing is that you want to be doing, just go for it. Full steam ahead with all the passion you have in your heart. Absolutely full send it, whatever that interest is. Absolutely full send it, because there's no way you're ever going to make it if you don't do that. You're never ever going to achieve your artistic goals if you don't put your entire self into it with all the confidence, all the bravado, all the audacity that you can muster. And that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point. Dude, I had to sit through like a decade of, oh, Gabriel, you sure you want to do art? Sure you want to do art? You know, you're going to be a starving artist? Dude, what are you talking about? You think I have a choice in this, brother, man? You think I have a choice in this life? It was always on site for me. Me and art, it was always on site. Yeah. And it's just better that way. Just like live it. Live your interests. Live the things that you like. Why would you ever hold back for any reason at all? Why would you ever hold back? Ever? So yeah, checklist. What do we say we're gonna do, guys? We're gonna delete the apps. Whatever is taking your time, delete them off your phone right now. Open your phone. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna do it with you guys. Opening my phone. Oh, what's that? I don't have Instagram on my phone. Oh, I don't have YouTube on my phone. Oh, whoa, that's so weird. I wonder why. Because I'm locked in. You gotta lock in, baby. Lock in. Delete Instagram. Delete YouTube. You will not miss it. I promise you, you will not miss it. Start drawing. Have fun. Be fiercely interested in what you're interested in. Don't ever take no for an answer when it comes to your passions and what you like. Don't be afraid of things that are hard to draw. If you like tigers, just draw a bunch of tigers. Draw like 1,000 tigers. You think you're going to be bad at drawing tigers after 1,000 tigers? You're crazy if you think that. That's an insane thing to think. Draw 1,000 tigers right now. Do it. Do it or else. Did you delete your apps? Did you do it? Guys, I got to see in the chat that you did it. Otherwise, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be pissed. Show proof or you're banned from the stream forever. Oh, but I like to share reels with my significant other. Make them delete it too. You're both deleting it. You're both deleting Instagram. Oh, but my I get, I don't want to miss. Oh, you don't want to miss anything? You're an artist. You're in your room drawing all day. You're missing everything. Do it. Delete it. Delete Instagram. Delete YouTube. Delete all the other stuff. I don't know what else exists. TikTok. I never even had TikTok. Delete it. Delete TikTok. Delete YouTube. Delete it off your phone. Get it out of here. Gone. Done. Gone. Oh, but what am I going to do when I'm standing and waiting for the bus? Have one thought ever. Have one Singular thought. You ever done that before? You ever had one thought before? Gosh, we were just going to do some chill, casual character design, but you guys got me popping off. What the heck, you guys? Ridiculous. Now I'm pissed. It's like a fun character. I like this character. This is good. Yeah, but I'm actually dead serious. So if you don't delete those applications off your phone, they just got you. They got you forever, and you're never going to get good at art because you're never going to be able to maintain being able to sit still and focus long enough to learn this stuff. Like, you can't learn perspective if you're addicted to Instagram. It's just not going to happen. You got to delete it. Like, I'm actually serious. There are many sacrifices you have to make as an artist. That's one that I am like deadly serious about. You just cannot do the social media thing, man. It just can't happen. But I have to post. Post from your computer. You can do that now. Post from your laptop. Get out of here. But what if I miss a comment? Miss the comment. You know what you did instead of missing a comment? You drew one of your 1,000 tigers. Way better. Way better. Let's go. Shout out to Hyper Extreme. Shout out to Speaking in Hyper Extremes. Cat videos are good for your morale. The only reason your morale is low is because you're addicted to social media, dude. It's the only reason why you need the cat videos. Is because you're just like wired all the time. You're cooked all the time. Listen, you don't have to do it. I'm just telling you what you have to do if you want to get good at art. That's the only thing I'm telling you. I'm not telling you you have to do it because I tell you to. I'm doing it so that you can actually achieve your goal. Just remember, in the era of all the greats, they did not have social media. They had cigarettes and fury and deadlines and way better pay. Oh my God, did those guys get paid? Ugh. What an era. What an era. I like this no arms kind of style of design. We're kind of in the no arms era of of design here. I don't hate it, you know? I don't hate it. I think it's fine. It's kind of cool. Well, great questions so far, guys. Enjoy the discourse. This has been fun. I'm not leaving, by the way. I'm just saying I'm enjoying it. Yeah, it's good. And for those of you guys in art school, dude, make the most of it. You know, ask your teachers the hard questions. You know, get them out of their chair. You know, engage. You'd be surprised at how much the teachers will give you if you just engage in terms of support, help, assistance. I remember when I was in art school, I would be in during the office hours time and like no one else would be there. It would just be me. And then the you know, professors. It would just be me. And then they would just sit and talk with me for like hours because no one else was there. I learned so much from those guys, you know? It was great. Show up, man. Be in the room. Talk to them. Ask them for help. Ask and you shall receive, man. Old adage. Still remains true. All right, we got another hour before I gotta fly this coop. We should probably do some more designs, not just keep, you know, jankifying this guy. Yeah, just follow Instagram. Definitely not from my phone. That's funny. That's funny. Oh my gosh, I just can't tell you how evil social media is, man. They actually really got us. They got us because they avoided regulation for so long, and now it's so commonplace. Everyone who's involved in regulation is like literally 78. Like literally, not figuratively. They're literally in their 70s. How can anyone in their 70s understand the detrimental, absolute predatory, evil design that these companies are engaging in. Like, what the heck is going on, man? It's like we're all cooked. They dodge regulation. They can just get away with being a slot machine in your pocket. They can just get away with it. All their weaponized psychology, all the science gone into just getting you absolutely addicted, being responsible for the absolute political split in the world. Ridiculous. Echo chambers, all this stuff. They designed it, they engineered it on purpose to increase engagement. Insanity. They did all this, they just got away with it, and they're just still in business. They're still fine. It's insane. Anyway, don't get me started, dude. I'm gonna get myself banned from this platform. I do not know. They just dodge regulation. How did they do that? How'd they do that? It's literally cigarettes, man. It's literally cigarettes. Dodge regulation for long enough. You have so much money. The problem is that people aren't dropping dead from social media. People were dropping dead from cigarettes. So like, how are you gonna do any kind of regulation at all? It's almost impossible. The effects are so subtle that it's like, but it's chronic and it's global. Everyone's addicted to social media. You still have people who didn't smoke, but now everyone's addicted to social media, and you're not hacking up a lung. You're just not getting out of bed because you're sad. Why are you sad? Because you're not doing stuff. Why are you not doing stuff? Because your entire dopamine system has been hijacked by some twink billionaire in Silicon Valley. How insane is that? Your entire life has been hijacked by some random sunscreen wearing creature person. Whoa, yo, we're getting so political today. I gotta actually slow down for real. I gotta slow down. I gotta slow down, guys. You can't let me do this. You can't let me do this, man. Wow, we were just talking about art, and then we just started popping off about the Silicon Valley lizard people who don't understand what it is to be a human being. You got to remember, all these people have broken families, broken homes. They're strange. They don't live happy lives. You look at them, they're not happy. They're stressed out. They're stressed out, freaky people, and they control your brain. Literally, they control it. You're cooked, dude. Anyway. Tortier says, I was actually thinking to switch to a flip phone. Yeah, I mean, the cool thing about a smartphone is the camera. Being able to take pictures rules, especially as an artist. It's awesome. But, you know, I think you don't have to have a flip phone. Just delete Instagram. Just delete all this stuff. Like, you'd be surprised. You know what's become my new social media? Pinterest. Pinterest has been my new social media on my phone specifically. Now I just scroll Pinterest, dude. That's what I do. Instead of scrolling political memes and seeing a million videos a second, and your brain is not invincible. You know, at a certain point, it's going to get tired and not want to do anything. And oh, surprise, you spent 8 hours looking at your phone. Not even 8. Let's be generous here. You spent 3 hours. I know it's more than 3, by the way. I know. You can't fool me. I know you're spending more than 3 hours on your phone, dude. I know that. You know, how on earth are you going to sit down and actually accomplish the things you want to accomplish and practice the art you want to practice? How are you going to do that? How on earth are you going to do that? Your brain's already done for the day, done for the week. But no, you don't rest. Before bed, back on the phone. Wake up, back on the phone. You're cooked. You are cooked. I cannot explain to you how cooked you are. Anyway. Good God. The haircut is doing wild things to your persona on the internet. It's so true. The short hair has unleashed me. I'm no longer chill vibes guy. I'm a psycho political person now. The twink billionaire is insane. It's the truth. It's the truth. And they've all experienced twink death, and it's turned them all evil, by the way. So watch out for that. They all got jacked, and now we have to really fear for our lives. They all got jacked, and now we gotta be scared. They learned jujitsu. We gotta be really afraid now. Man. Tortier Tortilla says, but Pinterest is getting taken over by AI, which sucks. There are settings. I think there are settings for reduced AI. Somehow they kind of fixed it. I've been seeing way less, almost zero AI on my Pinterest, which has been what a blessing. Thank you, Pinterest, for that. Thank you. Am I still upset that you have video ads playing while I'm just trying to look at cool images and now I have to look at this random video playing? I am upset at that. That bothers me. That's upsetting. That pisses me off. All right, this fish guy, we lost the plot, dude. We were talking too much turkey on politics. I totally lost the plot on this guy. He looks too normal to be in Fish World. We got to make him weird. We got to abstractify his eyes. You can't have regular eyes. We got to lower the mustache. He looks too much like a cowboy, I think. But that's kind of fun, right? No, this guy rules. I changed my mind. He rules. He rules. He's cool again. Give him a little highlight on the cheek. There we go. We fixed it. I think we got to lift this collar up higher. Yeah. Anyway, guys. Yeah, delete Instagram. Buy my brush pack. That's the plan. Oh yeah, for those of you guys who didn't see the last stream, brush pack got an update, baby. Got an update. We have a fun time-lapse little art tutorial thing in there where I talk about my process, talk about how I use the brushes. Super fun. And the brushes got an update too. And if you buy the brush pack, you'll get all future updates for free. Yes. Yes. Miranda says, hello, first time speaking here. This guy do be green, and he's very handsome. Well, you know, that was the feedback I got from a Riot artist, was that I needed to draw more hot people. So I've been doing my best, you know, here and there. Also, welcome. We're a little bit, you know, we're running hot today. But, you know, we're chilling. He looks like he has a flower hat. Well, that's kind of the idea. The idea is he has this kind of like kelp hat that's been made from a big kelp plant. That's the thinking, at least. I gotta do the little striations coming out. That's the vibe. So, because remember, everything in this world is supposed to be referencing materials that you can only find in the ocean. So, like, these big kind of kelp plants, or maybe this is more of like a reef-based kelp plant, would be available in terms of a material. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So let's do some more, guys. I like our rework of this guy. I think he's working better than our first iteration. The first iteration was just feeling very plain. The gesture was saying nothing. I was just exploring ideas. And the version we have now feels a little bit more like he has a bit more of a personhood. You know, he's looking at us. He's kind of relaxed. You know, same pose as this guy. You know, they're both just kind of chilling. But let's do some more. Let's do some more. I want to do volume. I want to get like, what's my goal for the rest of the stream? I want to do, I think like 3 more good ideas before the stream ends. That's my goal. 3 more ideas that I'm really happy with. Let's get cracking, baby. Let's get cracking. Got the chill tunes on now. Oh yeah, also, I always do silent streams. I always do no music so that you guys can play your own music. Do you have a pufferfish inspired guy? Not yet. I've been trying to find the right place and the right time for the pufferfish guy because I want this to kind of be like a made for games kind of vibe. Pufferfish guy probably feels like a mini boss of some kind, you know? Like that kind of feels right. So like maybe I'll design it in that context. Who knows? But I do want to do some corally guys. So before we were talking about the social structure of this world and how there's a very kind of upper class group of people. There's, again, kind of like more of a, and that's kind of ranging in this range. There's more kind of the craftsman class of kind of people who we were kind of drawing before, people with a little bit more means. And then there's the kind of people who live close to the water and they're more living off of the reef and they just have a different vibe. So I want to try some designs that evoke that kind of bohemian style. You know, they may not have much, but they have swagger. So we'll do a cool walking pose. I love just like the straight leg walking pose. I think like it's a really, really nice base to start from with the design. It adds so much like gravitas, bravado. It adds a lot of direction, especially with a nice like outward chest kind of vibe. We'll maybe relax the shoulders, maybe arms in pockets. That feels pretty cool. Yeah, that kind of gesture I like a lot. That's looking pretty cool. I'm doing a lot of big collars. Maybe want to try a slightly different silhouette here. Something a bit longer, maybe. Mess with the flow. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. It's kind of sweet. Mirenu says, this is so therapeutic. I may even want to pick up my pen while listening. Oh, man. 1000%. That's why I'm here, man. Get you drawn. Get you drawn. That's the whole goal, baby. The whole goal. I think in place of a cravat, I want this character to have like a cool, like sea fan design. So we'll have to paint that out to look like a sea fan. Sometimes you have to keep things quite abstracted because you're going to imply it more with color and light. So I'll leave it pretty abstracted like that, and we'll kind of come in more with color, I think, when we're a little bit farther along. We can also match the motif with the sea fan by having it on the hat as well. Oh, this guy's a total pirate, man. He's a total pirate. He's a little too cool, which is the problem. Yeah, this guy's a little too sick. Yeah, dude, he's almost too cool. But let's run with it. Let's run with it. You know what? This guy probably mans like a skiff. Probably mans like a reef boat that kind of goes out and around and scavenges, you know, finds some stuff, you know, skirts the edge. So another piece of lore for this world, while I have you here, is they live on what was a kind of volcanic plateau that has then become an island that has like a little kind of ridge on it. This is the tiny island, and the plateau is like this, and everything around it is deep ocean. Deep, deep, deep ocean. And you got to imagine that in this deep ocean, there are giant creatures out here, which will just eat you. If they see a tiny boat on the surface, they'll eat it. So you really can't leave the shallows. Like you just can't leave the shallows in a boat, which is why they use airships. But this guy probably is like a captain of like a skiff thing that goes out in this kind of local area and either fishes or I'm assuming maybe kind of like does some swashbuckling, who knows? Something like that. He does look like he would scam you with a fancy sea watch. Yeah, exactly. Like I think this guy has a little kind of little barge situation that's always kind of parked under the boardwalk location of the city, and he kind of scavenges and finds his way and figures it out, you know, in his own way. But yeah, I think that's probably who he's going to be. But I like this idea of the sea fan as a motif for both the hat and also for the outfit. That's kind of cool. So it's the trim of his... Actually, now that I have it flared out like that, instead of a cravat, I'll just make it the flare of his jacket is just going to be sea fan. That's so sick. That's so cool. Oh my gosh. I love it. This rules. Fun fact, I could not have come up with this idea if I was scrolling on Instagram on my phone. You ever think about that? Checkmate. Checkmate, liberals. So funny. Give this guy kind of a long nose. I want him to kind of have a little, kind of a cool, kind of cheeky, like a little kind of vibe. His hat is still too cool. He's too cool. I think we got to make it a top hat to just urbanify him a little bit. A wide brim top hat. Yeah, that works. That works. So that kind of brought him back into the city. It took him from being an oceanic guy back to the city. Yeah. Ari says, don't answer this question if you don't want to. I'm an artist making a game about AI and its environmental impact. My main character is an AI cleanup robot controlled by you, the player. Oh, cool. My idea for the story is that AI as a tool is not inherently evil, but the unethical use of it, driven by greed, is what's making it wrong. But I'm not entirely sure I myself agree with that take just yet. Well, you've got to define what AI is, right? Artificial intelligence is a, unfortunately, vague term. Like a search algorithm for a Google uses artificial intelligence, and the reason why you guys are recommended my channel for this is because of artificial intelligence. Because I'm doing something so niche. It used to be that you couldn't really succeed on YouTube if you had a niche subject, something like world building and concept art. It was like you just couldn't really get big. Unless you were like one of the only guys. And also that's back in the day where like everyone would just make like a how to draw an eye tutorial. And because it was searched so often, that's how you would become popular. You would have to create content that was searchable. So the reason why you're able to view my content at all is because of the use of artificial intelligence, in this case with search algorithms and recommendations and all of that stuff. All that happens because of those artificial intelligence things. Now, that is not draining the Earth's water, right? That kind of use of power is not insanely predatory on the environment. And it's also not using plagiarized works of the entire history of mankind and everyone who's ever existed. Like, I want you to imagine the worst person you knew in high school who always talked about how they were going to be rich one day and always felt sleazy. And imagine that person just scraping the internet for data in order to train their AI to just steal. Like that, those are the people who are doing this. Those are the people who are doing that. It's the worst person you knew back in high school who just felt off, who you didn't like. Those are the guys who are doing this, who are populating the Gen AI workflow. And that sucks. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be a sleazy, weird, shady practice person who is only in it for temporary gains. These guys have no idea how they're going to monetize and make it actually profitable and workable. So that generative AI, in that sense, when it comes to image, video generation, all that stuff, is like generative AI is the thing that I think most people point to when it comes to evil. And then what does it look like for the ethical use of generative AI? One thing that was interesting is I was showing my grandfather how crazy AI has been getting, and I made it write a sonnet in Shakespearean style. And Shakespearean style is something that has existed in so many different forms, and like we kind of know what Shakespearean style is. It's like it's the iambic pentameter mixed with certain sentence structure and like syntax and all that stuff, and that's the way it works. So I got it to write a sonnet of something in Shakespearean style. So two things that are kind of almost mathematically rigid, and it spat out a sonnet, a perfect sonnet in perfect Shakespearean, and blam, there it was. It exists. And it's like, for me, it's a weird thing because on the one hand, like, oh yeah, it's a language model that understands sentence structure and understands this thing. And Shakespearean style is like, can you even steal Shakespearean style? Is that something you can steal? It's just a structure for writing. And then it's producing. So it's like, I do get you where it's confusing and weird. And sometimes with that stuff, I'm like, should this not exist? I don't really know, And the language model stuff I know isn't like as predatory as the image generation stuff in terms of the impact on the environment, but it still feels wrong. Also, the other problem with all of this is that if you yourself submit and you grovel and you lay your life at the feet of this behemoth system, and you say, yes, I would like for you to do everything for me. That's what I would like. It's like, yeah, okay, you're allowed to do that, but now you have committed yourself to a life of ineptitude. You are inept. You lack capacity. You are now somebody who is devoid of capacity, ability, and you're forever dependent on this thing. And, it raises a good question of what is worth reading, what is worth looking at, what is worth doing. Novelty has a way of overemphasizing value, but notice how just the amount of AI images you're seeing online has been going down. And it's kind of because people get bored of stuff. The turnover is high, and these AI companies are bleeding. They are bleeding, gushing every day. They're losing millions of dollars. I just don't see how it's sustainable, both from a business perspective, from an environmental perspective, and from a cultural perspective. I think the novelty will wear off. I think people will still use it and try to replace people where it's profitable, but I think that those areas are probably going to be more narrow than people expect. But hey, I'm just a guy on the internet. Don't trust anything I say and come to your own conclusions. Safi Art says, hey Safi, how's it going? Liar Liverai says algorithms equals AI, but I get what you mean. Or algorithms don't equal AI, but I get what you mean. Also, it's a video game. Looks very interesting. Love when people make the use of their environment to build new things. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. This is going to be hopefully for a video game pitch, something close to Disco Elysium in terms of the gameplay and stuff. It's going to be that kind of vibe. We'll see if it ends up getting made. Something split between Disco Elysium and Hades, I think. Marana says, I have a shrine where I pray to Gen AI's downfall. I think I'm the reason they lose money. It's just people are like, oh, it's great for emails. I'm like, you can't write an email? You can't write an email? We're cooked. We're so cooked. You can't write an email and now you're excited that there's AI. You're not scared to death by the fact that you can't write an email. You're not horrified by the fact that you can't write an email. And you're stoked that now your pre-lobotomized brain is going to be pumped full of nutrients and kept alive by a theft system. Dude, we're so cooked. We're so cooked. Can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it, dude. It's just unreal. It's just unreal. Yeah, good God. Shut it all down. Get it out of here. Gross. All right, it says, thank you. I agree with what you guys are saying. Also, please do tell us more about your game. Really sounds very interesting. I mean, it'll never get made, but it's a cool concept, when I picture the project, I picture it being that kind of game setting. That would be kind of cool. But they just don't really give projects to rookies. I haven't published a game and I haven't been on a team that has published a game. So because of that, it's pretty much just impossible for someone like me to get something like that made. But maybe in a decade from now, when I'm in my 30s and I'm a bit more of an old man, people tend to have more confidence than people in their 30s. So that'll be good, But yeah, that's the jam. But yeah, AI. Ooh, ugh. What a weird world. The most horrifying thing about AI is all the Gen X people I know are just loving it. They're loving it, dude. Talking to my dad about AI. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. Tortilla says 30s, old man. I'm just joking around. I always said I was born to be 47 years old. I think I'm going to peak at the age 55. I think I was born to be 55, so I just gotta, wait. Wait another 20 years or so. I'll be 55. But yeah. Hope you guys are appreciating my strange art takes, my weird AI takes and everything. It's just so annoying. One of the most disheartening things for me, and I really mean disheartening, was going to Lightbox last year, Lightbox Expo, and talking to some of the artists that I'm like have been a fan of for a long time, and they're like, "Oh, AI is here to stay, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you have to conform. You have to start using it." Like that was so disheartening to hear. And you don't know if it's true, right? Like you never know if it's actually true or if it's just cope. It's like I'm sure for most studios they're adopting AI for sure, but there's still a lot of projects where people want to have fun and like make stuff, you know? A lot of cool people, a lot of cool projects. Anything I work on professionally that's mine is always going to have a strict no AI policy. Always going to have a very, very strict no AI policy. That's the Gabriel guarantee. All right, so what's this coat made out of? I like this coral motif. I think that's pretty cool. But let's kind of keep having fun with it, right? There's more opportunities here that we can find. I like the idea that the pants are mostly leather in this world, like that eelskin leather. We do want to maybe diversify it a little bit, but who knows? Tortilla says, fair enough. Can't wait to be a grandma. Dude, hell yeah. It's going to be so fun. Dude, I can't wait to be old. I can't wait to be old and make my grandkids cringe. Taunted, not haunted, fun name, says, hi. I'm so glad I got to catch your stream again. And bro, my Gen X mom has an obsession with AI for no reason. I wonder what makes it so appealing to them specifically. It's magic, dude. It's magic. They didn't grow up watching YouTube videos, you know? It's like there was never something they did. And it's so in the cultural zeitgeist, and now it's so doable, you know? They love it. They love it for some reason. But I think that the general consensus is that younger people, like the younger side of millennials, a lot of Gen Z, a lot of Gen Alpha, are moving not only just away from social media, but just away from technology, or very conscious in how they use technology in general. I think that's a good thing, man. I think it's a good thing. I think a lot of these industry giants are going to be having a bit of a harder time, you know? We're seeing right now the collapse of the alcohol industry in many ways because a lot of young people aren't drinking. And myself included, I don't drink ever. So, you know, I'm happy to see those companies go. Super, super chill with that. And they're freaking out because they're like, what are we going to do, man? What are we going to do? We got the whole world drinking alcohol, and now we only have like 2/3 of the world drinking alcohol. What are we going to do? But I think a lot of these technology companies, not all of them are going to survive in the coming century. I mean, obviously, you see turnover and changes and everything. What I'm glad about, though, is the startup craze is over. Like, there were all those startups that were, like, evaluated way higher than they were supposed to. And, like, most of them still aren't making money, even though they're evaluated super high. Like, WeWork and Uber and all these companies that, like, they're really not that profitable. And, like, they were just propped up by venture capital. It's like kind of cool that era is kind of ending a little bit. In the video game space, really cool to see indie games just take the reins, man. They're taking the reins. I am so here for it. Silksong, masterpiece. My God, it was so good. So good. I almost did a second playthrough, and I was like, Gabriel, you have to get on stream, and you have to talk about how everyone needs to delete Instagram and YouTube off their phones, specifically off their phones. You don't have to stop using social media. Just stop having it on your phone. Get social media off your phone. You can use it on your computer, just not on your phone. Not allowed. Not allowed anymore. Done. You're done. No more social media on your phone. It's over. Done. Gone. All right, I'm doing all the classic Gabrielisms without much conscious thought here. I'm like adding trim to this when I haven't decided what material it is. The jacket. What is it made of? Tortilla says, love seeing indie studios and video games, hoping animation industries. Yeah, the problem with animation is that with video games, the clear business model is you make a game, someone gives you $20 so they can play it. With animation, people are not super jazzed to hand over money to watch something. They want to watch a feature-length film in a theater, or they want to watch it as a bundle on their streaming service. So indie animation lives if the streamers are going to commission it and it is profitable. Like one thing I love seeing is all the Cartoon Saloon content that keeps getting produced and keeps getting made. They're an indie studio in Ireland, an indie animation studio, and they keep getting contracted. They keep existing, and the streamers keep hiring them. They did an unbelievably good short for the Star Wars Visions project. Oh my gosh, it was the best Star Wars content since Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, in my opinion. It was so good. So really happy to see those guys succeeding, continuing to do so well. They're great. But animation, it's like much harder for them to succeed on platforms like Kickstarter or just exist in general. Because with indie games, again, like you can make a meme game and some streamer plays it and then like 100,000 people buy it for like $9 and now you have $900,000 minus fees, minus taxes, minus expenses, minus hosting, minus, you know. But with animation, it's not so simple. Like I love watching all the Gobelins short films every year, but I'm not gonna like fork over $10 to watch a Goblin short film. I would pay $10 for like a DVD box set of like all of them, maybe. But, you know. All right, see you, Keegan. Thanks for hopping in. Taunted says, yes, I love the thriving indie gaming industry right now, and don't worry, you can replay Silksong once the DLC comes out. Oh my god, the DLC! I'm cooked! I'm cooked! No, I gotta lock in, guys. I gotta lock in. I have to lock in. Life's moving too fast, man. Life's moving too fast. I've got a lot of big expenses coming up. I really can't afford to not stay locked in. You guys have to help me stay accountable. Yeah. Marina says, I'm going to Gobelins next year. Please pay for our films. Oh, exciting. Congrats. I hope it goes well. I hope it goes well. I heard some controversial stuff, though, about their stance on AI and everything, but I don't know if that's true or not. I didn't stop and really listen when people were talking about it, so I don't know anything. All right. We're giving this guy a little bit, he's a little bit too stylized, I think. We gotta reel him back in. This is a very kind of grounded world, I think, overall. I think we're gonna like have the shoes be like a fish scale motif. Marino says, yeah, but they backed about it. Yeah. They backpedaled. Yeah, for sure. The course has been removed after big backlash. That's so good. Let's go. What fantastic news. Great to hear that. That's great. Yeah, I love seeing all the work coming out of Gobelins. I love seeing all the work coming out of New Edge. I feel like those schools have been consistently popping off. But there's always drama, man. There's always drama at those French schools. For some reason, you guys got a lot of drama over there. Oh yeah, dude. Moving to Paris, unreal, unreal. Yeah, I think when it comes to studying art, you really want to, if you're going to do it, which I don't even 100% recommend studying art like that. But you want to do the most cost-effective thing that you can for the highest quality outcome. What that looked like for me was studying in the UK because I had a British passport and tuition was super cheap over there. And the city I lived in was super cheap in Norwich. It was so affordable and really nice. So like, you want to make sure you're going about your options in a effective, cost-effective way specifically. You want to try to avoid as much debt as possible when it comes to art school specifically. The only like jobs that are really good at paying off student loans are jobs where there's going to be a pretty stable hiring market for the foreseeable future, and that has a statically high income. So um, like low risk student loan jobs are a lot like the stuff in the medical industry is really great. Dentistry is really great. Dentistry has super high loans, but it's because you're going to get paid quite a bit. Engineering, people say it's more risky now, but I don't think it's as risky. Architecture is like you just don't want to study architecture. Very high cost, very low employability rate. Um, yeah, and then art school is like you just don't want to take out loans to study art. You just don't want to do it because those loans are accruing interest while you're in school, and they'll be accruing interest for the rest of your life. And it's very unlikely that you're going to be making enough money to get ahead of them. So try and avoid the loans. Try and avoid. Marino says that's what I hate most. Moving to the city is such a pain. Not even a fun city. I really prefer learning art by myself, though. Dude, you're going to make the most of it. You're going to have a blast. Collaboration is going to be super fun. Tortilla says, yeah, I understand, but for me, school forces me to do better, to finish projects. Most of the time, I'm full of ideas, but I never finish my projects. Yeah, it can be a great push. And that's the thing I hear the most is when people are in school, it really forces them to go beyond and try harder and produce more. I found for me it didn't really increase my output. I just procrastinated the same amount and I worked hard the same amount that I did before. I think everybody's different for sure. Yeah. I think art school's great. Art school just shouldn't cost more than like $5,000 a year. Art school should not cost more than that per year. It's like insane that it costs anything close to that, you know? Marina says, definitely done 3 years in animation school. That's what I actually finished most of my stuff, but I couldn't say that's my proudest work too. You know, people tend to make their proudest work a little bit later in life. Got some loud horns outside. It is St. Patrick's Day after all, so. Thinking about that point. I'm on my 3rd year of animation school. Nice. Yeah, make the most. Have a blast, man. And really get those teachers out of their chairs. Ask them the tough questions. Get them to look at your stuff. Get them to talk more in depth with you and hunt them down and be annoying, you know? They like it. They secretly like it. This guy's such a funky character, but I like him. All right, let's do another one. Oh my god, 170K, dude. That's just such an unbelievably high number. That is insane. Oh my god. That is insane. Wow. That is hard to believe. this guy's cool. I like him. Let's do a man with a bucket. I feel like buckets are going to be pretty important prop in this world. I want to be doing a lot of buckets. We're at the nonverbal part of the stream where I'm just drawing. I haven't really been locked in this stream. I've been just talking this whole time. But it's been fun. Been fun chatting these topics with you guys. Always fun when you enable my pop-offs. We're popping off! But yeah, always remember, take everything I say with a grain of salt, no matter what it is, and do your own investigation. Figure things out. Come to your own conclusions and go for it. The only thing I'm right about, that I know I'm right about, is deleting Instagram, man. Delete it off your phone. Get it out of here. Get it out of here, man. Take back your brain. You'll be so much happier. You'll be so much more fulfilled and chill. You'll be so much more calm. So much more confident. You won't be as chronically exhausted anymore. You'll get your brain back. You'll be having original thoughts, finally. Always a nice feeling. But you gotta get out, man. Get out of there. Tortilla says, sophisticated pirate has, for sure, places to be and stuff to do. 100%. Todd says, I know, right? It's mostly because DigiPen has a lot of networking potential. Dude, 170K for networking. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You got to be locked in. The other thing is that, like, you lock yourself into the skill set. Like, I know a lot of guys who went to who's the Singapore guy before it shut down? The guy. You know what I'm talking about. Feng Zhu. FZD. A lot of guys who went to FZD. And like, yeah, you leave FZD with their workflow and you will get hired at a studio for that workflow, but that's just what you're doing. You're doing FZD work forever. You're just doing 3D, line art, base color, texture, done. That's your workflow now. And you're cooked, you know? Unless you love doing it, then it's like awesome, super cool, super fun, sick. But you got to love doing that to make that work. But at a lot of those schools that have like high employability rates, it's often because they're going to put you through a workflow pipeline that you're going to come out with a certain skill set, which can be great if you love that skill set. But you got to know you love it. Because otherwise you're going to come out being like, all right, I know how to base model in 3D and line art, light, texture, but my characters have no je ne sais quoi. There's no joie de vivre to my work in my life. I have no joie de vivre. And you'll be heavily in debt with no joie de vivre. It's better to have joie de vivre and not be in debt than to be in debt and have no joie de vivre, in my opinion, personally. Miranda says, I'm not super active on YouTube, but I really like your content. Do you stream often? I stream, oh God. I mean, yes and no. kind of all the time, but also, you know, not all the time. I'm trying to do it more. I say that every stream. That's the jinx. When I say it, I don't stream for like a month, but I'm back at it. I'm back at the stream, baby. We're talking. We're back on. We're hanging out. So I am back streaming often. I want to stream at least twice a week. That's my goal. We'll see how well I do in that goal in the coming weeks and months, or who knows. But I want to be streaming more for at least a couple hours a day. So I am streaming a bit more often. But you can look at my back catalog. If you go to my channel and you go to the live stream sections or the streams or whatever it is, you can see there's like literally 92 VODs. So you can watch back all the VODs if you want to. Tortier says, I need to go, but thank you for your drawing session. Dude, thanks for dropping in, man. Thanks for dropping in. Moreno says, hearing French from English people is the dopamine boost I needed. Oh, joie de vivre. It's so funny. I forget that's even French. That's so funny. Yeah. I do want to learn French so I can talk to all the French artists that I like. But even more, I want to learn Italian so I can talk to all the Italian artists that I like. That's what I really want. There's a couple illustrators, though, in France that I'm just dying to talk to. Friedrich Pillot, however you say it, and Alex Alice. Those are two illustrators I'm like dying to talk to. They're so good. Oh my god. All right, so we have a guy with a bucket. That's kind of all we did was draw a guy with a bucket. What's his jam? What's his deal? I don't even know. What is his deal? What does he have a bucket of? I mean, we can start with fish, right? That's an easy layup. Fish World, baby! Yeah. Ooh, I might do like a Friday Fish World stream theme or something like that. Could be kind of fun. Fish World Friday. All right, we're going to lift one shoulder. We're going to drop another shoulder. Add just a hair of dynamism. Just a hair. I also got to remember to speak into the mic. Easy to forget. Miranda says, oh man, I was so unmotivated to draw, but this gave me the need to actually get to it. Thanks for that. I'll do my world building. Heck yeah, dude. Get after it. Get after it. Draw. Don't not draw. Instead, draw. We're about drawing in this house. Thank you very much. We draw here. That's what we do. We hang out and we draw and we have a great time. We have a great time drawing and not being on our phone. Yeah, this bucket man, what's his deal? What is his deal? Yes, sir, Z-Quinn. I'll draw nonstop. Heck yeah! Let's go. Yeah, man. Drawing more has a really strong correlation with improving rapidly and getting really good at art. So, would highly recommend it. That's so funny with the emojis. Ari says, yes, I always see your YouTube videos, but never catch an actual live stream. It's been really nice and inspiring. Fantastic. Hooray! Hopefully more to come. Hopefully more to come. And if you guys want to support the stream and support the YouTube channel, you can join the Patreon in the description. It's $3 a month, and you can join my my Discord through subscribing to the Patreon, where we do some design challenges, sometimes often, sometimes seldom. But really, it's just a way to support the channel and say thanks, and you know. And you can also support me by getting my brush back and stuff. If you guys work in Photoshop and like Photoshop, and if you check my Gumroad, there's always funky, cool stuff in there. So yeah. You mean drawing more equals improvement? I can't believe it. So true. So it's easy to forget, man. It's easy to forget, especially like you get comfortable drawing, you get pretty decent at drawing, and you think you can kind of lighten up, but it's the opposite. Usually what happens is people can do more in less time. So like you can do more in less, which means that a drawing that took you like, let's say 4 hours a couple years ago, now takes you maybe 40 minutes. But instead of drawing for 4 hours and doing a bunch of drawings that would fill that spot for another 4 hours, you just do the 40-minute thing. And you stop doing those long sessions where you're pushing yourself. So as you improve and you're able to do more in less time, it literally just means you should be doing more in more time even. Can't recommend it enough, man. Can't recommend it enough. And it also prepares you for professional work, because in professional work, you're going to be working for like minimum 8 hours a day, really pushing yourself. So Miranda says, I'm so getting to Patreon soon. The vibes are immaculate. Dude, freaking hell yeah, dude. Freaking hell yeah. Yeah, I'm going to overhaul the Patreon soon. I got to figure out like what it wants to be specifically, because for now, for a while, it's just been like a ticket to the Discord basically. But there's some more stuff I could do. I got to figure out how everything meshes together and how much I actually want to be online doing this stuff. You know, that's always the other thing I'm trying to figure out, is how much do I want to be online doing this stuff, and how much do I want to be doing other stuff, and constantly in the back and forth of like, do I re-optimize and do more client work, or do I like stay on the stream path and working on my own project? It's hard to know, really hard to know, to be honest. So yeah, we're figuring it out. It's not easy, but we're figuring it out. We got a bucket man. He's got to have something cool about him though, right? Gotta be something going on here. Yeah, I think we give him big kind of patchy green pants. Those big cured kelp pants. Give him a little belt. He's probably someone who like does some kind of work, right? So we can give him some kind of insignia here, and that would probably do some wonders for the design. But maybe we want to give him some more drip, right? Maybe he has some like cool gloves or something. Maybe he works in like with dangerous fish, and they have spines. So he has some cool gloves that he works with. And maybe he has some pretty heavy-duty boots, too, that he works with as well. So he's kind of a scavenger guy who deals in dangerous fish. Maybe. Something like that. Yeah, that works, right? You can give him a little copper-wheeled wagon thing. Give him a weird wagon here. Maybe we give him a tattoo. Oh, we give him cool tattoos. That's how we make him cool. Oh, we figured it out. Can't believe it. Guys, we did it. We solved concept art. All right, what kind of tattoos does he have? Obviously, he has some cool swordfishy designs, right? Maybe. We'll figure out more of the tattoos later. For now, we'll just do some little placeholder fishies. Maybe he works for the crabmen, and we give him a crab claw. It's kind of cool. Miranu says, do you have a project in mind for these characters? Oh, yeah. These are part of my Fish World IP. Ruled by the ruling class of aristocrats who wear fish on their heads and parade around in opulence with their servants who have a guard who control the city and keep everything pretty locked down and in order. And everything revolves around fish. And the way they get fish is by fishing with airships. Here's a cool airship that kind of lures schools of fish to the surface. So there you go. Yusuf says, am I seeing right? My Glorious King is streaming again already? Yeah, man. We're back, baby. We're back. And I might be back soon. Who knows? But yeah, this is for a project I've been working on for a long time, man. And I'm going to start posting some of this stuff soon. I haven't really, released it properly in the world yet, so we'll have a fun debut for this project in the coming months, maybe, or multiple debuts, I guess. Yeah, the shapes are kind of the whole thing. Another cool thing that I've kind of discovered is and again, I gotta thank you guys for pushing me to watch One Piece. As I'm watching One Piece, I'm just loving how simple these shapes are, man, for the One Piece designs. I gotta say, the shapes really are immaculate. The design is great. I love the sea monsters, and I love how just appealing everything is. It's my kind of show, man. It's my kind of show. So the hardware for this guy is probably going to be lots of kind of a driftwood frame. With probably some mesh coral as the base with a rigid cage probably. But he splurged on the wheel. The wheel's got to be brass or copper. Isa says, I feel like you would like JoJo. I watched a couple seasons of JoJo. It was fun. It was fun to watch. It's probably a little bit much for me. It was a bit intense, I gotta say. But no, I thought it was fun. One Piece designs are so cool. Lots of variation from most of the characters. Yeah, I've just been paying attention to everything kind of but the characters, to be honest. Like how they're doing the creatures, how they're doing the ships, how they're doing the buildings. Like I've been paying a weird amount of attention to other things, But the characters are sick. I gotta say, the characters are cool. Some of the early animation's pretty rough, not gonna lie, but gotta start somewhere. So I'll suffer through it, I guess. While I wait for my glorious final season of Bleach. Please come sooner, final season of Bleach, please. These guys kind of rule. What did we say? We said 3 designs, right? Before we ended the stream. So I gotta do one more, right? Gotta do one more. One more. And we gotta keep it super simple because I gotta go. Hello? There we go. One more guy. One more guy. One more guy, eh? Probably do a basket weaver of some kind. Or like a net weaver? Basket weaver? Maybe both? They're doing like a fish trap kind of thing, maybe? Hmm. 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 Kind of weird. What should our final design be? Well, it should obviously be something ridiculous, right? It should be a guy who's got a like a lobster tail for a cape for sure. Hmm. Thinking maybe like one of the claws could almost be like a bag or something. Like you could have like a like using it almost for storage as it kind of curves around his body. That's kind of cool, right? For like one of the lobster claws. It's kind of sweet. Yusuf says, yeah, I don't watch anime anymore, but I recently watched Bleach, and wow, everything from the world building to the characters is great. Dude, it's so cool. It's so cool. The pacing both feels slow and fast, though. It's like this weird thing where it's like, you can tell it's like a final season style content. But I love it, man. I love it. It's so sick. Yeah, I feel like Bleach always got kind of done dirty by their budget. Like I feel like they always had like less resources than the other big three. But who's complaining? Me right now? Huh. Maybe. All right, we're gonna cut the claw bag for now. It's frustrating me. So first we're gonna do the actual character here. Give him a hood maybe. I feel like this character wants to be in a hood. Hmm. We're locked in. We're so locked in. We're so locked in. And we're having fun. We're working on Fish World, my beloved IP. Fish World. So cool. Yeah, I feel like they've used one of the claws to as like some kind of holder of something. Maybe like anemone spines or something. Yeah, that's kind of cool, right? So we have a cool two materials here. We have the crab claw or the lobster claw coming out. He's like holding this little kind of container thing here that's holding something he scavenged, like the spines of a giant sea anemone. Something that would be worth something, something he could use. Etc. Pretty cool. I like it. I think we could definitely push this and make it better. But for now, I think it works. Probably if we shift the gesture a little bit over, that'll just feel better instantly. Yeah, that feels a lot better. Just having that slight angle change. Yeah. We're cooking. They're like, do you want my spines? Yes. Would you like my spines? I have spines for sale, sir. Yes. Wow, we really covered every topic today. Did some world building, talked about character, talked about shape. Talked a lot of politics and AI, man. A lot about art education, the usual. You guys always ask me about art school. You always ask me about this stuff, which I don't resent. I think it's important to talk about, and I'll keep answering these questions a million times over. I want to support you guys and make sure you have the information you need to succeed, because, my God. So yeah, just to review what we worked on today, because I feel like we made some good progress. We started off by reworking this design from like the previous kind of version. Wanted to kind of zhuzh it up a little bit. We talked about how you got to delete Instagram and YouTube. We talked about the kind of levels of learning the fundamentals. That was kind of a great question that was asked, you know, and definitely go back and rewatch that if you missed it. We worked on a couple more characters for Fish World. We worked on a cool Coralie shipmaster guy. We'll continue looking at his design and figuring this out. And we got a little bucket man who's a fishmonger of dangerous, hard to wrangle fish, probably. And the last thing we worked on was this little lobster tail character who's got his wares for sale. Khajiit has wares for sale. So, yeah. Good progress. And we had fun, too. We had a ton of fun doing this. We had a ton of fun drawing and not being on our phones. That should be my motivation to daily stream. Just get you guys off your phones. Get you guys drawing. It's a good motivation, to be honest. I like it. All right. Well, I think for now we'll call it there. It's been an absolute blast hanging out with you guys. Yeah, we'll hopefully be back soon. It's been, yeah, just fun sketching, hanging out, talking shop, and yeah, more on the upcoming workshop, probably in future streams and stuff. And yeah, thanks for all the great questions, everybody. Once again, if you want my brush pack, where today we used a lot of this brush, the Fun Sketch brush, one of my favorites, super cool one. And yeah, if you guys want the full brush pack, where we've got all the tools I use for concepting, for world building and stuff, it's all here. You can find that in the Gumroad description, or the Gumroad link in the description. And yeah, if you want to support the channel, you can through Patreon if you want to, also in the description. And thanks for watching. It's been great to have you along, great to hang out, and I'll talk to you guys soon. So have a good one, everybody. Take care.